Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Thrive, Not Just Survive. I am your host, Nasira Jamal, and I am so thrilled to have this guest on with me today. But before I do that, I want to talk about finding joy. You see, for a lot of people, the people that I've spoken to anyways are talking about, they can't find joy or they're not happy because the external circumstances that they're experiencing right now, be it COVID, be it life, be it family, is just something that is not aligning with how they wish to really live their life and experience life. But see, what we want to talk about today is joy and finding it. And what that means is that it's internal, that it doesn't have anything to do with your external world or your circumstances. And today's guest, Farah Foster-Manning, is going to walk us through this as a conversation that her and I will have in talking about finding joy. So without further ado, I want to bring her on so we can get this conversation started. Here is Farah Foster-Manning. Good morning, Farah. Thank you so much for joining me. This is so powerful that we can talk about this idea of finding joy. And I want to, of course, get into that deeper with you. But before we do that, I want to give our audience a framework of who you are and how your life experiences and circumstances helped you find a way to joy.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on here. This is just fantastic. We connected like recently, and that's power in itself, I think. So, wow. Okay. Thanks for the intro and everything. I basically started out as a pharmaceutical sales rep, exhausted mother. And I guess, a lot of us do, right? And I found something fantastic because I needed to find it. I needed my energy back. I think we really rely on coffee a lot. We really rely on deadlines, on schedules, and we forget about us, right? And then us, it affects us. Then we get really worn out and we're like, what are we doing? What are we doing anymore, right? So I needed to find my energy. And I found it with nutrition. I knew my body had to heal in order to be good, be a productive wife, productive mother for my children of 4. And I was just tired of having that 2 p.m. slump when I was out doing my runs and stuff. So it was just, I needed to change. So what happened was I got crazy energy and I was driving everybody crazy. So I thought, okay, I had to stream my energy into something. So I started running. I've never ran in my life. I never thought of running in my life. I just figured, hey, it's the dead of winter. Let's do something that I shouldn't. I did the couch to 10K. It's an app. And I did it slowly once again. Streamed into that and did a few races. After that, after that, I thought, hey, you know what? I need to get back to something I was missing in my childhood, which was swimming. And, a lot of us, we just stop doing what we should because, life takes over. We become mothers. We go to university. We get married. We just stop for some reason. So I was just, I was active. Running was great. I threw swimming into the mix and my heart was happy. My heart was like a child again, right? And, I did this around my family because I didn't want it to affect, family life either, but I needed to find me again. Right. So before they would go to school, I would swim. When they would go to bed, I would go swimming. So and running was pretty easy because, it's a half hour or so. So that was, the kids would even run with me sometimes. So it was fine. From there, my coach, I joined a local triathlon club actually for the swimming. And I didn't even know what triathlon was. I'm just like, I just want to swim, right? So he was like, how about you start cycling? And I'm like, I own a beach cruiser. I don't know a bike. Okay, well, so I borrowed a bike from one of the triathletes. and started cycling and started doing triathlon races. And that year, I actually podiumed several times with being a female and in my age category overall. And just ran, like, this is just it's the compound effect, right? It's kind of like baby steps when you start to do a little bit of a change, and like all of a sudden I'm like podiuming on it, so that was really exciting. And so I kind of got away from, no, I didn't get away. I really got into myself, but then my joy and love started just because I focused on me, and I was just a better person for everybody in general.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think there's so many nuggets in what you've just said, is that you loved swimming when you were a child. And then of course life happens, university, family, children, marriage, and you kind of get away from that, of what really brought you joy. And as children, children tap into joy very easily, because they follow that feeling, right? Whatever makes them happy, they do that. But we lose that as we grow up and we have life happening and responsibilities. But what I love is that you made that connection, is you just enjoyed swimming. And so you kind of got back into it and your heart was happy.
I had to, you know what? It was hard because being a female, my body changed. My body changed when I was a teenager. And I think that kind of distracted me too. A lot of things, like you said, a lot of things would happen, but really body image was a huge thing for me. And then it got worse because having 4 kids, it was like, oh goodness, I was that mom behind the wrap. If I was at the beach and stuff like that, I wouldn't show my body. I'm still pretty reserved, but yet it was just getting on that deck for the first time and just swallowing my pride and just going, right? Like, just go, just do what you have to do. It's not about anybody else. It's about you. So really there was all guys that were swimming. I was pretty much the only female there. They didn't even look at me. They literally jumped in the water and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'll do the same. Like, you were there for a purpose and I was too. So as soon as you know your purpose, everything else fades away, right? And you just do what you have to do.
Absolutely. And I think when it's that purpose of, it's not about anything external. It's not about what they think or who they are or anybody around you. It's really when you align with your, like, that soul connection of light, of this is where your joy is. This is where happiness lies, and you just go for it. Yeah. And I want to talk about this because I feel there's so many people out there with COVID happening and just life taking this very unusual turn. Because of job losses, children at home for online schooling, a lot of different things are happening for people, right? Mm-hmm. And so what I want to talk to you about is you wrote an amazing book. And I want to talk about that because there is a balancing act between what's going on in the world and who we really are as spiritual beings, right? This human experience that we're having is an experience, but really it's about finding that balance even within ourselves. So talk a little bit about the book and why.
Okay, so here's the book. I grabbed it. It is called, here, if you can see it. Woo, see, my camera's off. The Balancing Act. So it's women. So it's basically revolving. It's a quest for work-life balance, because obviously we want to have happiness and joy. We want to do our thing, but yet we also need an income, obviously to provide for, because that's just life. So, a lot of people just really focus on working because you have to. And that's when we forget about our joys and our happinesses because we just don't think we have time. Right. That's one thing that drives me insane is when somebody says, I don't have time. Oh, we have so much time. We have so much time. It just depends where you apply your time and how and where. For instance, for myself, I don't watch TV. Okay, I'm on TV. I am on TV on several TV shows and movies, but I never watch it until my episode comes and I'm like, oh, there I am. Oh, okay, good. Goodbye. Turn it off. But yeah, no, I stopped watching TV and when I started training, because obviously if I'm going to take that half hour to run, I'm not going to do that. Right. So that's fine. It's fine. It's basically you have to allocate your time accordingly to what you need, to what will make you happy. Because sometimes mindless TV does not make me happy. It doesn't. It didn't. So I didn't realize that until I'm like, okay, let's get back to things that really made me happy, even if there were past things that I stopped. Yeah. So with the pandemic that happened, it was really heartbreaking because I think even as much happiness as you would have had before, everybody was hit hard. I know for me, it was even hard to post some days on Facebook because I'm like, okay, I don't want to share a news story that the majority of the people are, because that's dampening, right? That just brings you down and it's too much. So, it was hard to keep that spirit up, but I had to focus. I really was outside a lot. I was cycling, I was running, I was like outdoors with the children, and it was hard. It was hard. I know what you're saying. Yeah. But I knew that my strength, I had to keep it up. So possibly somebody else would see it and be like, okay, they might be trapped in their condo in Toronto, and, that it's hard. I couldn't imagine some situations. Yeah. And to this day, I still know some people that haven't even left their house yet, and it's hard because I think a lot of people are really relying on social media, and they're getting the news and things like that. So that's what I'm saying. So if you're going to dictate yourself around a source, that's not bringing you joy and happiness. That might give you information, but that might not be good information for your soul and for your spirit, right?
Absolutely.
So you have to create your own happiness, your own, of course you're going to be keeping up with the times and things like that, but you have to overpower what is happening. And that's the hardest part. Your brain is like a muscle in itself.
Right.
So it takes a lot of work. And
I think that's a really good point. I mean, there's a couple of nuggets there that I want to really highlight. One is take stock, right, of your day, like a diagnostic, real look at how are you spending time, and is doing that bringing you a level of happiness and joy that you really can attest to, right? Or is it bringing you down? Like watching TV or news especially, right? The doom and gloom that's out there. I'm not saying that we have to live in a bubble of denial, and information is good, but is it dictating to you how you're living your day-to-day life, where you're in fear mode, where you're feeling like you're trapped, right? That you can't really do anything else. And the other piece that you really highlighted was this mindset piece, which is really important, right? It is a muscle. Your brain is a muscle, and you can teach it to do different things. It's so powerful. But what you feed it, whether it be negative or positive, that's what's going to grow, right? Whether you grow a flower garden with the positivity or you grow weeds, it is in our control. So I really want to highlight that in terms of, just that mindset piece of getting to a point where you can really think about things differently, right? Things are the way they are, but how do you think about them, right?
You put it into, see, I'm always that person to, I don't know, I look at things like, it's not that bad, because I've been in bad. We know, we've talked about this. We've been at the bottom. So we know the bottom. So when there's the bottom, there's only the top, right? So, I'm sure it could have gotten worse. I mean, we know that, but oh man, things that you deal with throughout life, your stories that happen, you do grow from it. You have to. And it's just, and I also think the positivity outlook on things, regardless of what it is, it really is. It's a trick of the brain. You have to, but it takes time, right? And you really have to look at things a certain way. And it's almost like you don't look at it the other way anymore, right? That majority of people do, unfortunately. Because there is.
I want to link that back to you being a triathlete, right? Like, and you built up to that. When you started running, you weren't doing 10K on your day one. You built up to it. So the brain also is a muscle, and you work up to that. Like, you have to really massage it and train at it every day in terms of this positivity, this thinking differently, finding the silver lining in all situations is a learned behavior, right? You can talk about it in doom and gloom, or you can really look at it and say, well, it's not as bad as it could have been, like finding some form of blessing in it somehow is training the brain to see the positive in it, right?
Well,
And I know
yeah,
you and I have talked off camera about life experiences, which were really bottom, like, when you're hitting ground bottom zero, and even in that, you can look back and say there was still a blessing in it.
absolutely. Like, for instance, right now, here's an example. The weather is changing. I am actually racing. It's called a race next year, June 2021. I've been chosen to race RAM 2021. So that is a race across America. There's 8 of us cyclists starting at Oceanside, California, and we are ending up in Maryland, Annapolis. So, okay, so my training is basically every day. So you can say I've been training triathlon stuff for 5-6 years now, and I haven't really missed a day. It's insane when I think of it, but it's just natural now. And so right now the weather is changing. I'm here in Ontario, gorgeous, but to be on your bike right now is uncomfortable. But I know I have to get, my 50K, my 100K in daily. So it's like, okay, deal with it, because I know in the race, there could be situations where it could be raining and, anything could happen. So my mindset still has to think, okay, if it's raining today, I probably still should go out because I could be in that race when it's raining. Chances are within those 5 days, I'm sure it'll happen. So it's a mindset thing where, okay, I could just like, oh no, I'll wait till the wind stops because it's supposed to be really windy today, right? So I'm like, but then I'm like, there could be wind on that race. So it's like, that's my goal, that's my focus. So there should be no excuses, right? So it's flipping the mind, like, okay, no, I have to do it. I have to.
I think that's the other thing, right? For a lot of us, it could be the excuse is stronger than the will to succeed, right? Like in the sense of saying, it's just easy to say, I'll just do it tomorrow, or I'll do it when the weather's better, or whatever that excuse is. But I think it's really taking that diagnostic look at your life and saying, if you do want a different outcome, we've got to do things differently. That's the way to do it, right? You can't repeat what you're doing and expect a different outcome. It's not going to work. Right. So I think this is not about preaching to anybody of saying, everyone's doing it wrong, or, if things are rough, then, you have to change your mind and do all. I think what this conversation is about is just the awareness piece of how is your mind controlling the outcome that you're living, and that we have so much control over this brain that that we're blessed with to be able to change our circumstances. And I really want to go back to sort of finding that alignment with who we are, what brings us joy, because when you are operating from that system of alignment, then things around you also become easier. And I think it's that vibrational energy you're emitting because you're functioning from that very different place of acceptance, of gratitude, of compassion, grace, all of these wonderful things that we need to start with for ourselves before we can give that out to others, right?
100%. Yeah, we have to find it, because how are we? It's kind of like somebody educating you on something. If they don't even know, they haven't really researched. It's that you have to be. It's not only like, that's the thing. I listen to a lot of different podcasts, and I hear it. I'm getting educated. I understand, but then I also know I have to apply it. Right? You can't just keep it in here. And if you have something to share or something to do, you either share it or you do it. It's not just we're here in this earth for a reason, I believe, and everybody has a story, and whether it be good or bad, I believe it's shareable, because somebody will relate. We were also talking about that too, and it's like, there's so many times that you run into people too, and it's like, wow, what? We know each other. We have to know each other, because like, there's so many similarities, there's so many different connections, and it always happens that way. Yeah. But like you said, it's the joy. Like, it takes a while. It's not an instant overnight thing. I think it's small. It's the compound effect, I believe. It's starting something that might be very small, and for some reason, I feel that it always leads into greater and bigger things. It always does. I didn't believe that in the beginning, because I'm like, I'm just gonna go run, and it was just, I needed to burn my energy off. But in the end, I got stronger. I was a better person. And then in my mind, I was like, if I could do this, anybody could. So I wanted to share that too. Like, okay, guys, if you have 20 minutes, don't watch that TV show. Come on out with me. Right. And that's the thing. Some people stuck with it. Some people didn't. It depends what you want in life, but yeah.
At the end of the day, I think we are all more similar than different. Our challenges they may look different, but I believe as humans, like we're a human race, right? And so we may have different religions, color of skin, we may have different families, right? And different cultures, but truly the essence of being human, we are all very, very similar, right? We all have goals and aspirations. We all want good for our families. We all are working towards something better, something that we can leave a legacy for our children. I mean, we all have certain things that we want to do while we're here. It's just about the connection. It's about getting out of the robotic life of that, I go to work, I come home, I cook dinner, I go to bed, I do this again, right? Is really stopping and saying, what is it that I can do to be not just happy, but joyful so that people around me can also feel that from me and light their candle, right? So I really, like for me, I'm so passionate about sharing stories like yours, is that you're not different. Like anyone can do it. Like you said, anybody can do it. It's just how much do you want to do it? How much do you want to find that light within you, right? And I think that's why sharing these types of stories allows us to not feel different.
Exactly. No, it's very true. It's like we're all going to have our different life path, but I mean, it's just, but I think, I would say like a lot is duplicating, like you said, joy and love. Like when it's funny when I was growing up too, I would see my friends' parents, like there was a few parents that were like just in love. Like they would run together. They would like just do stuff. And it was like, that's nice. I want that. Like, so that's the thing. When you start to see other people, like how they're doing it, it's like, okay, so how are they doing it? What are they doing? I am so open. I know that I'm not right 100% of the time. And I could admit to that. And I think that also is a good thing to have. Like, don't be right all the time. You're not going to have any friends and people don't want to listen to that, right? It's just like, I don't know. The world is like so deep. Like there's so much depth to everything that I don't know if there's anybody that could be right. I know even with the pandemic that happened too, it was like, we didn't know what to believe anymore. And we were just like, we were nervous and just stuff like that. And it was kind of like, okay, well, there's depth, but like, get back to you. How are you going to handle it? How are you going to handle if somebody says something to you? Find you. This was a good time to find yourself. And I think a lot of people were, even with, becoming entrepreneurs. There was time, it was like the world paused, right? Yeah. So a lot of us were like, okay, this is good. I have an online business and it is online shopping. That was perfect because a lot of people didn't want to go out and shop. They were nervous, hand sanitizer and like everything was came right to the door and it was good for people. Yeah. So a lot of people they worked on their dreams and their things that they couldn't, their house, they were painting rooms, they were doing certain things that they just couldn't in general because work took over, children took over, things like that. So it was like, the pause was a good thing too, right?
And I've said that right from the beginning, as I did this show, and I started it when COVID happened, is to inject some positivity into my social feed because I wasn't happy with seeing all of the negativity that was there about numbers and all of that. But I think what happened is that, this reset that the universe really enforced on us by introducing COVID into our lives was really for people to take a stop, like a break, and look at life a little bit differently to say, connecting with oneself, finding out who we are, what do we want to do? What is the legacy we want to leave behind? What is the mission and vision that we have for ourselves, our children, our families, and our communities, right? So a lot of people took the time to say, you know what, I'm gonna reap the rewards of this space and time that I've been given. And others, I think, out of fear or whatever it is, didn't take it on, but there's still time. And that's what I think today's message is. There's always time. There's always time to find out who you are, connect to that joy, that joyful place within you. And you are, I think, a standing testimony of finding that for yourself and continuing that journey. Like you said, it's not that you're always right, but you're trying it out, doing different things to make sure that you're tapping into that joy. And I love that.
You just have to push your fear aside, right? It's hard when everybody's looking at you sometimes and they have judgment here and there, because that's our life, right? But once you kind of mute the noise and just zone in, what we were given a few months ago, I feel it was like, wow, there's a lot going on in our heads, in our surroundings. And it was like that a lot of people didn't realize, because they were so robotic. Like you said, it was just so go, go, go all the time. And it was like, it was scary at sometimes, because you were just by yourself. You were thinking, you had a lot of time to think. You had a lot of time to really, there could have been pressure to figure out too, right? So it was just, but yeah, I mean, it's all about tunnel vision of what you need to do, and just put your blinders on, focus. And like, I promise, if you even take that 20 minutes to go outside and go for a walk or a run by yourself, things will change. It really starts with even like 10 to 15 to 20 minutes of taking time for you, and your life can shift within, like, keep going. It can shift, and greatness will come to you.
Yeah. And I think that's so important, that it doesn't mean like, it's like rewriting the whole book from chapter 1. It's just saying, take 5 or 10 minutes out and spend time with yourself, right? And connect, and just those doors will open when you start sort of clearing all of the clutter that's in our minds, right? And so I think that's something that's really important as we tie this conversation up, just to say to others that, don't make it such a big, horrendous task that, oh my God, now it's like I have to spend all this time trying to figure it out. It's not about that, right? It's really taking these small steps towards that journey of self-discovery. So I want to really thank you for your time. If you had, if I can ask you for sort of one piece of advice or wisdom that you can share for somebody who is just at that point of saying, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm really going to find, what would you say to them?
Do it. Do it, and don't look back. Look forward, okay? Because you deserve it. I believe that, like, we all can create stories. We all are here to have a story in life. We're born to die, but we have the middle to deal with. And it's like, we can do greatness just for ourselves. Don't even worry about doing greatness for others. It's like, do great. I mean, okay, that didn't come out right. Don't worry about focusing on others. Focus on yourself, because once you focus on yourself, it pours out to others, basically. So, it's just, you need to take that time for yourself. And anybody, as soon as you take that time, that minute for yourself, you could become an actress. You could become an elite triathlete. You could become anything you want, just like I have. And I haven't stopped. I don't plan on stopping, because I found my joy and happiness. Right. And I know there's more out there still. So it's just like, I'm an open door to certain things, and it's like, it works.
And be open, I guess, to the adventure and the excitement, rather than live in fear of what can go wrong, right? Because really, at the end of the day, like you said, we're born to die, but in between is what we create. And we are co-creators, right? So I believe, when you said just take that 1 minute, take the 5 minutes, I think that as we take that one step, universe steps towards us with the same vibrational energy that will leap us forward even further. So I'm so grateful that I met you. I know it's a new friendship, but I am blessed. I feel completely honored that Julie Stickler actually combined us together and said, you guys got to talk. And I'm so grateful to her as well. But thank you so much. I wish you a wonderful week as you go out there and do the things that you're doing. I just wish you a ton more joy.
You're amazing. I appreciate you so much. And the connection's great. And I think it's just a start. It's good.
Awesome.
So thank you. Thank you. You too. All right.
So I will definitely be having you back on the show.
Thank you.
Bye. So that was a talk about joy, and I hope you really tapped in and connected to some of the nuggets that Farah was sharing with us, because really it is about looking inward and taking that self-discovery first step, you know? And so we're here to support you. If you want to reach out to Farah, you want to reach out to me, you just want to have a chat, this is where your power lies, right? Reach out to the people that you are connected with, that you feel can empower you, and take that first step, and things will open up. We promise. We're on this journey. We're talking as we're doing these things for ourselves. And things are really about to shift. We're ending 2020, but with hope and with a lot of new dreams that are coming up for you as entrepreneurs. I wish you a wonderful, successful week. Remember to join in on my show, 10 a.m. each weekday morning. I want to wish you a wonderful day. Remember to be kind to yourself and others. I'll see you soon.